Hey everyone, Smarty here. I'm just here to talk about Heal Satan, which is a Lionar deck I greatly appreciate. I liked the bug vet video I made about that deck tech, and I thought I should probably do some which aren't satire, so that we can, I can make some sort of repository to show new players who are curious about decks in the metagame. I will say that this sort of thing will get outdated pretty quickly, but it's still a sort of good jumping off point, and you can see the decisions that are being made while decks are being built uh, by higher level players. And I mean, for viewers who are watching as it's posted, this is good because I'm talking about a deck I think is quite strong. So, Heal Satan is a Lionar deck. It is built around heal synergies, which have been a core of Lionar for quite some time. So, really, let's just start off with the headliners that are in all the Lionar decks. So that is Martyrdom, destroy a minion, heal its owner's general. This card's absurd, one of the best removal spell, probably the best removal spell in the game. 2 mana kill anything. Sucks that they heal a bit, but it's just so efficient, especially early on. If you just use this to kill like a 4-drop, they probably don't heal that much, and you can really sort of take the game away if you have enough of an advantage where you don't need to worry about not having martyrdoms for later things. Windblade Adept is a 2 mana 2/3 with Zeal +2/+0. This is the best 2-drop in the game. It's a 2 mana 4/3. Sometimes, the positioning restriction is relevant, but this card's absurd. One of like the best turn 1 play in the deck against most matchups. Just like really large numbers. And we're going to look at another card of really large numbers. That's Silverguard Knight, which is a 3 mana 1/5 provoke with Zeal +2/+0. And this is another sort of piece of Lionar's early game where you just have bigger stats than them. 3/5 is huge. It beats a 2/3 and a general. It doesn't die to them. So it often requires a removal spell to interact with while being a 3-drop that's sort of in people's faces. Um, just a really powerful card. And the Provoke is very strong in Lionar because it lets you protect your other things. Means you can say, hey, if you can't kill this all in one go, that sucks because of Holy Immolation. So Holy Immolation is the 4 mana heal an allied minion for 4, heal an allied minion for 4, and deal 4 damage to enemies nearby it. And this card is great by itself. Just if you aren't healing a minion, it's great. 4 mana, deal 4 damage to everything around an enemy. You'll often see on 6 mana it used alongside something like a Windblade Adept or a Healing Mystic to just do a sort of AoE burst. But Lionar's big beefy minions are really strong with this because if they don't kill them all in one go, then you can heal them up and do the AoE damage. Especially with Silverguard's Provoke, things can't move away from it, so it's just sort of really juicy and really helps compound Lionar's incredibly strong early game. The spice of Heal Satan is the Light Chasers, the Isby's Monuments, the Sunrisers, and the Magnetizers. So let's start talking about them. So let's start with Isby's Monument. It's the sort of core of this deck. It was recently buffed in the most recent patch. For this deck, nerfed for most others, but it now is a 3 mana 0/12 that at the end of each turn, not your turn, this gains -0/-1 and heals both generals for 1. It used to be -0/-2 and heal generals for 2, which made it a much more efficient piece at healing yourself quickly, which is often the velocity at which you want to be healed. But Heal Satan does not want to be healed quickly. It wants to be healed slowly for longer, and so this is better because it has Light Chaser, which is a 2 mana 1/4 with when a unit is healed, this gains +2/+0. Light Chaser gets a lot better if you have an Isby's out. If you play an Isby's and end your turn with a Light Chaser in play, both generals get healed for 1, and Light Chaser becomes a 5/4. When your opponent ends their turn, Light Chaser will become a 9/4. And any other heal synergies will get added on top of that, but Light Chasers get incredibly big, incredibly fast in this deck. So they're a real power card for this deck. You'll often backline them because you can bring them in later with Magnetize. So Magnetize is a 1 mana spell, teleport a minion to the space directly in front of your general. You can talk about this card for ages, basically. It's Not massively efficient. Songhai can sort of trivially get minions wherever they want for 0 mana, while often getting another minion out of the way. But it's what we've got, and it is a fantastic way to deliver light chasers to people, or to just grab backline threats. One of the things that Lionar has historically struggled with is sort of cheap backline minions that are hard to kill, because you only really have martyrdoms, and so, at least in the early game, once you start getting to like holy immolations and stuff, that's a different story. But in the early game, you don't really want to use your martyrdoms on a 3-drop if you don't have to, and so Magnetize can let you grab something like a Sworn Avenger, pull it in, and clear it with your existing stronger than average board. Additionally, you can use it in the late game, grab a Light Chaser from, Narnia, which has, 15 attack, magnetize it in, punch them to death. Great stuff. The other heal synergy card is Sunriser. So Sunriser's 4 mana 4/4 after a unit is healed, deal 2 damage to nearby enemies. So with Isbies, this is doing 4 damage in an AoE. More if you have any other heal procs. Just a very efficient card. Playing Isbies is kind of a tempo loss because it's a 3 mana that doesn't really affect the board, but I mean you can regain it back with Sunriser plays in the later stages of this game. It's also not uncommon that you just play a Sunriser in your backline and you're threatening to magnetize it in and play an Isbies next turn. So just kind of a versatile tempo tool, AoE tool. You'll just play Sunriser, you'll be happy with it consistently. Let's look at some other sort of Lionar tools while we're here. So Sundrop, heal a unit for 4. This procs ally heal synergies. It staves off aggro decks, and it can, restore Silverguard Knights to full health if they've taken a beating as well. Just sort of classically good card. Healing Mystic, heal another unit for 2. Best 2-drop in the game, sort of generically, and at least most played 2-drop in the game, and just really strong in this deck. Not only is it good baseline, but we care about the heal synergy. Great stuff. Tempest, 2 mana deal 2 to all units. So this is a choice in this deck right now because of Walls being a very powerful deck. So Vanar Walls has a lot of cheap minions that die to Tempest, or at least get chipped down to Tempest, and then you can clear them with your general or other things. And so having a Tempest can be really convenient. Ephemeral Shroud's a tech card, 2 mana 2/2, opening gambit, dispel nearby space. It's really good. Lots of things in this meta are vulnerable to dispel. Walls, nice. You can remove the buffs from a Time Cloak Coiled Magma. Just generally, I really don't recommend leaving home without dispel currently. And we're playing all of his tech cards as a 2 of rather than a 3 of, because we have Augury, which is one of my favorite cards in the expansion, probably one of my favorite cards in Duelyst. Draw a card, you can replace 2 additional cards this turn. I'm sure people will know at this point that Augury has been used in funky Lionar combo decks, where you care about the extra replaces to proc things like Wings of Paradise, White Widow, or Psionic Resonator. But Augury is just a really powerful card in a proactive mid-range deck because it helps you find what you need. You're like, oh, I need a martyrdom right now. I mean, you get a lot of looks to try and find a martyrdom. Or, if you're like, I need a Tempest because I'm playing against Vanar, well, Augury will help you look for that sort of thing. Additionally, because we have the Isbies synergies, we often quite want to find specific pieces just to enact our game plan, which isn't necessarily true for other Lionar decks, where you could sort of play more generically good cards, and so Augury can help us find the pieces we need for our sort of proactive stuff as well. It's not just a reactive tool to try and get things kind of slowed down. The top end of this deck is the only stuff I haven't really talked about right now, and that's Echo Mage and Archon Spellbinder. So we'll start with Archon, because it's a classic. 6 mana, 8/7, your opponent's spells cost 1 more to play. It's just a big dude. It's big. It's kind of annoying to remove, because it will make most removal spells more expensive, and it kills people if it doesn't get removed. It had taken a nerf from 8/8 to 8/7. I still think it's quite good. Playing this deck, I have been not super impressed by the Archon Spellbinder, but it's nice to have a big thing in the matchups where you really want a big thing. It lives through Spectral Revenant, which otherwise this deck can kind of struggle with, and generally, you can backline it more safely than some Lionar decks can, because it's kind of annoying with the spell thing, and you can also magnetize it in later if you need it. And let's talk about the real cream of this deck, I'd say. The thing that really spices it up compared to pre-expansion Heal Satan. Not just the Isbies buff, but Echo Mage. So Echo Mage has a lot of words on it. Zeal. The first time you cast a spell with this in Zeal each turn, put a 1-cost copy of that spell into your action bar until the end of your turn. So, what this means is when you cast a spell while it's in Zeal, get another copy of it. It costs 1, it goes away at the end of your turn. So, there's the obvious things you can do with it. You can copy Martyrdom. So you can go, on 8 mana, I'll play Echo Mage, Martyrdom, Martyrdom. That's pretty good. You can copy Sundrop Elixirs to not die. That's an 8 health burst heal. That's quite strong. You can copy Auguries to get more card advantage if you need to. You can copy Magnetizers to bring 2 things in, or bring in an enemy, kill it, and then move your general and bring in an ally to hit something else. You can copy Tempests, although I'm not super keen on that. Once it sticks, if it sticks a turn, you can copy Holy Immolations, which are really, really nasty. It's like a spiral technique that costs 5 mana and is AoE. So, Echo Mage is like a must-remove 5-drop that provides a lot of value the turn you play it. I do have a couple of caveats to bring up about it. The first is good. The first is actually an upside. You can replace the spell. So, on 6 mana, I could play Echo Mage, Sundrop, and then replace my second Sundrop. Or on 7, I could play Echo Mage, Martyrdom, and then replace my Martyrdom. They do still go away at the end of your turn. They vanish from your deck. But it's like sort of, like, I don't know, money laundering, right? You're getting a card that'll go away and you just swap it for a card that you get to keep. On the other hand, there is a downside to Echo Mage, is that it has a very annoying bug. Where if you copy a spell with it, and then leave Zeal before you end your turn, so it's not nearby your general, the spell will go away like normal. But then on your next turn, Echo Mage, even if it comes back into Zeal, will not provide you a new spell. It needs to end its turn. Like, when you end your turn, Echo Mage must be next to you for it to refresh its ability and start looking for another spell again next turn. Which is quite annoying, because you often want to play around things like Mercantor Warbeast, to keep your Echo Mages alive, and ending your turn with it next to you is quite a steep cost in matchups where you want to play around AoE. So that's a warning for playing this deck. I hope it'll get fixed soonish. I've engaged with all the channels that I can about this bug, and this is, I guess, just another way to bring it up. But yeah, so that's Heal Satan. You're playing a sort of generic Lionar tempo game plan, and then you finish people off with a combination of Isbees plus Sunriser Light Chaser, or you do Echo Mage stuff if they can't remove it, or you just play Archons, standard stuff. This deck has 41 cards because I am lazy. I'm pretty sure that there is a card I could cut here, but I don't know what it is, and so I'm just leaving it at 41. I think Archon is a likely thing to go away, go down to 1. You can still find it with Augury if you really need it, but it really depends on what you're playing against. You can replace the Tempest for Riftwalkers if you need to, if you're not seeing as many walls and you want sort of more targeted damage. You can play Lion as your right Lion. This card's just really strong, good with Immolation, especially good if you're threatening to copy Immolations. It's okay with Magnetize. Neutral options you can play, before we get to neutrals, Ironcliff, it's just a great sort of slam it down, really, really strong with Holy Immolations. Basically demands hard removal. 310 is enormous stats. It got to provoke stuff again, so you can sneak it into places where your opponent can't clear it with their minions properly. Big fan. I tried Elix. It wasn't super impressive. The dream of hitting people with like a Light Chaser twice didn't come up enough, but it's not like the worst thing in the world. In terms of other neutrals, I'm not sure there's really much. You could play a third Shroud if you wanted to. I was thinking about Jaxies with the recent buff, but they just haven't really found room for them. Primus Fist isn't super important here. We don't actually have that many things which change from 2 to 3. It'd just be Mystics and Shrouds. So, and that's a main breakpoint that Primus Fist is useful for. So Primus Fist is a very powerful neutral 2-drop, but not really for this deck. I think that's everything that immediately comes up. So, Rejuvenator. Rejuvenator is just too slow in this metagame. We don't need... We're Lionas, we don't need, we have better ways to heal efficiently with stuff like Sundrop, and we have better ways to heal inefficiently if we just want to get heal procs, like Isbees. So, yeah. Thanks, everyone, for watching this video of me just rambling about a deck for... I don't even know how long it's been. uh, 15 minutes. And I'll post the deck code in the comments, not in the comments, in the, what's the word? I want to say doobly-doo, but that's not right. Whatever. Underneath this video. And I'll also link to my Twitch stream, where if you're watching this as it goes up, there will be a VOD in which I played this deck, or a variant of this deck, and you can see how it played. So yeah, thanks everyone. Bye-bye.